conviction for Donald Trump on just some of the 78 criminal charges he faces in 3 separate courts will mean years in prison, perhaps even for the rest of his life. But even if he's convicted, he may never see the inside of a prison cell. Here's what the Washington Post recently reported. According to current and former U.S. officials, Trump may be able to influence whether he goes to prison and what his stay there looks like under a law that allows former U.S. presidents to keep Secret Service protection for life. So, could Trump face prison or not? The Post asked Chuck Rosenberg, former federal prosecutor and a familiar face on MSNBC. His answer, theoretically yes and practically no. Practically no? I'm sorry, this is America. We used to do the hard things that other countries couldn't. And plenty of other countries, major powers, close allies of ours, have figured out the practical elements of jailing a former leader. Israel, our closest ally in the Middle East, sent former Prime Minister Ehud Olmert to jail for corruption and bribery in 2016. Olmert served 16 months of a 27-month sentence and was permitted 4 pairs of underwear, 4 pairs of socks, 2 towels, bedding and toiletries like every other prisoner. But there were some allowances. He was housed in a so-called VIP wing, complete with vetted inmates, a wing with its own library, yard, dining room and phones. How about Brazil? President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, a.k.a. Lula, is in his 3rd term in office. But after his 2nd term, he spent 580 days behind bars for corruption before Brazil's highest court dismissed his conviction and released him. And not just in any prison, in a prison he had opened as president. They gave him an entire floor to himself, away from the general population. Still, alone in a cell, though it was a bit more spacious than the 97 square feet other prisoners had to share. All of that seems luxurious compared to South Korea, where multiple leaders have been convicted of crimes and jailed. Former President Park Geun-hye served 5 years of a long corruption sentence before being pardoned. She had to surrender the hairpins that held her characteristic hairstyle in place when entering the Seoul detention center, trading them in for a pea green jumpsuit and a solitary prison cell. And she did her time eating $1.30 meals, washing her own tray and sleeping on a foldable mattress on the floor. Forced to eat cheap meals? Wouldn't even be much of a punishment for Donald Trump. So if he's convicted on charges that would bring serious jail time for the rest of us, what should happen to our former president? House arrest at Mar-a-Lago, the scene of his alleged crimes, with an ankle bracelet a la Nicolas Sarkozy, the former French president who got that punishment after being convicted for corruption and influence peddling in 2021. While a Mar-a-Lago detention would be a punishment for anyone with taste, I think Trump would be more than happy with house arrest, with the opportunity for years of crashing weddings and mooching off the buffet. It sounds like less hard time and more like those prison dinner parties from Goodfellas. So, what are the penal options for a possible Trump conviction, given the Secret Service is understandably concerned about keeping the former president safe if he's behind bars? Perhaps the best model comes from Peru, where former President Alberto Fujimori is serving a 25-year term for embezzlement and human rights abuses committed by death squads under his control. Peru built a new VIP prison complex for him with 3 cells that are more like small apartments. And it's been full of convicted politicians ever since. As one Peruvian legal commentator told reporters, in Latin America, people envy us. Many people abroad say at least you get them in jail. For years, the US left has correctly complained about the amount we spend on our prison system. But surely the left wouldn't mind spending a little bit more on a custom-built Trump jail. I mean, if you even started a GoFundMe for that, it would be fully funded in a day, for much less than the price of a for-profit private prison or, I don't know, a casino in Atlantic City. So let's get ready to do it. Let's get ready to build the walls.